Welcome everyone, Coach K here. We're going to talk today quickly about what dollar cost averaging into a trade looks like with a couple examples. So that makes it really easy for you to understand when someone says dollar cost average in, what that means. Now, a big mistake when we trade crypto is that we put all of our money into the trade at one time. So instead of putting let's say I want to put a Bitcoin into a trade, instead of putting 0.25 at lower levels, I'm putting a whole Bitcoin in at the first target. Now that's okay for some trades, especially if they're breaking out, but if you're doing a long-term strategy and it starts to drop and we have the market dip like we've seen with Bitcoin where it shot up and then everything came down because the dollar value of Bitcoin is so much higher, the other Satoshis go down in value on the altcoins. So I'm going to show you a couple ways to do that with a couple examples right here. So just follow along, and if you have any questions, do click that subscribe button, do click a comment button, write in your questions, and I'll definitely happily answer that. So let's move on and get started. So the first example I'm going to show you is IOST. Now you can see a former example of a cup and handle that happened and played out very nicely, way higher than I actually thought it would actually get to, but that's usually because in a cup and handle, guys, if you ever look at that and you think it is, always use the measuring stick and see that it's at least 30% down. If it's not, usually it's not a cup and handle, and the deeper it goes, usually the better it is. Now, also look for that handle. So we see that cup, nice cup, and then we see the handle come. So usually when we see that, we buy at the bottom of that handle or a little bit above that, and we usually see it move up at least the height of the cup. Now, getting back onto dollar cost averaging. So let's say we see it run up and it starts to look like it might be a good time to enter again. So we got our resistance here and we got our support. Now this is generally what you'll use to enter trades in general. So support is very good places to look for setting your buy orders. So this is what I have done. You can see right now currently the price of IOST is 250 sats. My first buy order would be at 235. My second buy order would be at 220, my third buy order would be at 205, and my fourth buy order would be at 183. Now I've just done that by basically finding the areas of support, and obviously if it breaks that, we'll usually go to the next support level. So it always tries to find support somewhere, which is why we use that. So a good example of this, I'll just pull it out over here, would be doing something along those lines. So if you're dollar cost averaging and you have a Bitcoin, put 0.25 or 25% in at 235. Again, another order at 220 sats, another order at 205, and last order around 183. It could be 185 if you like just round numbers, make it easier for yourself. So that is basically how you do dollar cost averaging. I'll give you one more example using RLC right now. So let me just pop this out of the corner over here and show you another example. So here we have RLC as well. I'll zoom in a little bit more for you. Okay, so we see that RLC has obviously had a nice month or so, and we can see there's a couple areas of support. So currently right now RLC is sitting at 943 or so Satoshis. My first one was the first level of support that I found. It's not very strong, but it's a little bit it's where I would look first. Would be at 908 sats. I would then found another support level at 842 sats. The next one at 798, and the last one around 703. So what that looks like on here is each of those green lines are one support level and where you would add your 25%. So again, we're using a Bitcoin just to make your life easier. 25% or 0.25 Bitcoin at 908, 25% or 0.25 Bitcoin at 842, 25% at 798, and 25% at 703 sats. What this does is it actually makes your risk less. So for example, if we do have market drops, right? And let's say if it goes from 908 Satoshis and it drops to 842 and then drops again to 798. Let's say it doesn't hit 703 Satoshis, right? So using this example, let's look at our resistance. Our first level resistance is 1100 Satoshis. So if we bought 3 times and didn't hit the third one, that's okay. We would use just 0.75 Bitcoin and go into the next trade with the 0.25 if it doesn't hit. But if we had 3 of those levels hit, we would have bought 0.25 at 798. We bought 0.25 at 842, and we bought 0.25 at 908. So if it did bounce off of that resistance at 798, for example, and start to move back up towards the support, you can obviously see that your gain overall from that bottom would have been 37%. Your gain from the other level would have been 30% or so. And if we did it one last time, if we hit that first one of 908 Satoshis, our gain would have been a nice 20%. So what this means is we actually could have got, a nicer gain. Now it's possible that, for example, this would be a level of resistance and we only get to 988. But again, even if we only got to 988, this is just an example, guys, not guaranteed to happen, but even if that happened, we'd make 20%, we would make another 15%, and then at the last, we would make another 8%. The whole point is, when using this strategy, it's called dollar cost averaging, and it's something that will, if the markets do drop after you enter a trade, you don't enter with all your cash flow. So if the market did drop, you'd still have more to rebuy the dip. Now, again, this is just one strategy, but it's something that's really good for long-term trades. So as you guys know, I called a few calls like IOST in February around the 3rd. So right here. And as we saw, the long-term strategy would have been very, very successful. It would have been 120% in 62 days. Average person probably would have got out around 62%, not realizing that would gone up that much more. But you would have got out, at any of these supports, you could have got out with profit. So the whole point is it's really good for long-term strategies. Short-term strategy could be good, but I personally, this is my own personal opinion. Some people do this for, even really short calls. But I personally like doing it for long-term calls, getting in a few times as it comes down. And then if it only goes down, let's say to like 800, let's say for IOST, it only goes down to 220 and it starts to move back up. You still got it in 220, you still got it in 235, you have, let's say 0.5 Bitcoin. And if it does shoot back up to here, you have to realize more gains without having realized a huge loss. If we did buy in, let's say right now, and then it drops down here, now we're down 18% on our whole pot, which means we've lost, let's say 0.2 Bitcoin. This way, if it goes from here, we buy it here and it drops down to there, we lose 0.25 minus 7 or 8%. Not going to be the end of the world. So I hope that makes it really clear and easy for everyone to understand what dollar cost averaging is. You can actually do this really easily, guys, if you don't know how to really do TA, but you can draw support and resistance lines, and there is videos I've made on that, so you should go back into the clips and watch them. I'll try to paste it into this end of this video as well for you guys. So have a great day. Coach K here with a little TA lesson on dollar cost averaging. If you see this little button right underneath me right here, just click on that and then click on subscribe, and then click on that little button below it that's a like and the bell so you can see the next video. See you guys soon. Have a great day.